On a dusty stretch of highway just outside a small southern town, a group of bikers roared down the road, their engines echoing like thunder. The sun hung low, casting long shadows on the cracked pavement. They were a rough-looking bunch, tattoos, leather jackets, and mirrored sunglasses, but among them was a strong sense of loyalty, a silent code of honor. They called themselves the Iron Brotherhood. As they approached a small gas station near the edge of town, something unusual caught their eye. A little boy, no more than 8 years old, was sprinting barefoot down the shoulder of the road. His tiny legs pumped with desperation, his face streaked with tears and dust. He was shouting something, his voice cracking with fear. The leader of the pack, a tall man with a gray beard named Ryder, raised his hand and signaled everyone to slow down. The bikers pulled to a stop, engines still rumbling. The boy ran straight toward them, waving his arms frantically. "They stole my mother," he screamed, his voice trembling but determined. The bikers exchanged quick glances. It wasn't the kind of thing they heard every day. Ryder took off his helmet and crouched down to meet the boy's eye level. "What did you say, kid?" he asked gently. The boy gulped for air, tears spilling freely now. "A man and a woman. They took my mom in a van. I tried to run after them, but they drove off that way." He pointed down a narrow dirt road that disappeared into the woods. Ryder's jaw tightened. The rest of the group looked uneasy. They weren't the kind of men who ignored a cry for help, especially from a child. "Did you see the van's color?" another biker asked, a muscular guy nicknamed Tank. The boy nodded quickly. It was white, old, with one broken backlight. Ryder didn't waste another second. He turned toward his group. "Mount up. We've got a direction." Within seconds, helmets were back on, engines growling again. Ryder told the boy, "Get in the sidecar, kid. You're not staying here alone." The boy hesitated, then climbed into the sidecar of Ryder's bike, clutching the edge with both hands. His heart pounded with a mix of fear and hope. As the bikes tore down the dirt road, dust clouds rose behind them. The roar of engines filled the air, a sound that suddenly felt like protection. The bikers sped through twists and turns, scanning every path and side road. After about 10 minutes, they spotted fresh tire tracks and a faint glimmer of sunlight reflecting off something white deeper in the woods. Ryder slowed down and motioned for silence. The group parked their bikes quietly, cutting the engines. They could hear faint voices, angry, muffled. The boy gasped softly, pointing. "That's them." Ryder nodded, signaling for the bikers to fan out. They approached cautiously, using the trees for cover. Through the branches, they saw an old white van, parked crookedly near an abandoned shack. Two figures stood outside, a man pacing and a woman nervously looking around. Ryder whispered, "Stay here, kid." He motioned to Tank and two others to circle around the back. As they crept closer, they could hear crying coming from inside the shack. Ryder's fists clenched. He stepped out from the trees, his boots crunching the dry leaves. "Hey," he barked. The man spun around, startled. "What the hell do you want?" the man shouted, reaching into his jacket. But before he could pull anything out, Tank appeared behind him, grabbing his arm and twisting it behind his back. The man screamed in pain as the woman backed away, terrified. Ryder stormed past them and kicked open the shack door. Inside, a woman, bound and gagged, looked up in shock and relief. It was the boy's mother. "Mom, you're safe now," Ryder said, quickly untying her ropes. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, "My son, is he okay?" Ryder smiled faintly. "He's right outside." When they stepped out, the little boy ran straight into his mother's arms. The sound of his sobs filled the clearing, and for a long moment, time seemed to stop. Even the bikers, hardened by life, turned their eyes away, their throats tight. Ryder looked at the man still on the ground. "Who are you?" he demanded. The man refused to speak, glaring up at him. Ryder didn't need answers. He just wanted to make sure the woman and her boy were safe. One of the bikers took a quick picture of the van's license plate, while another called the sheriff's office in town. When the police finally arrived 20 minutes later, the kidnappers were handcuffed and taken away. The sheriff shook Ryder's hand. "You boys might look rough, but you've done this town a great service today." Ryder just nodded. "We don't like people hurting families," he said simply. The mother sat on the back of an ambulance, holding her son close. The boy wouldn't let go of Ryder's jacket, his small hand clutching the worn leather. "Thank you, mister," he said softly. Ryder smiled beneath his beard. "You're a brave kid. Don't ever stop fighting for the people you love." As the ambulance drove off, the bikers stood quietly for a moment. The forest was still again, but the echoes of what happened lingered. Tank nudged Ryder. "Didn't think our Sunday ride would turn into a rescue mission." Ryder chuckled. "Life's full of surprises." They rode back toward town, engines roaring once again. The little gas station came back into view, the same place where their unexpected journey began. They stopped for a moment, the sun dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in deep orange and purple hues. Word of their actions spread quickly through the town. People who once crossed the street to avoid them now looked at them differently. The Iron Brotherhood had become local heroes, though they never sought recognition. Ryder often said, "Good deeds don't need applause. They just need to be done." A week later, a small envelope arrived at the biker clubhouse. Inside was a drawing, the little boy's handwriting in bright crayon. It showed a group of bikers, a van, and a stick figure boy holding his mom's hand. On the bottom, it read, "Thank you for saving my mom." None of the bikers said anything for a while, but their eyes told the story. Ryder pinned the drawing on the clubhouse wall, right next to the flag they all respected. From that day forward, whenever new members joined, he'd point to it and say, "That's why we ride." Not just for freedom, but for people who can't fight for themselves. The boy and his mother eventually moved to a nearby town, but they often visited the bikers. Each year on the anniversary of that day, they brought homemade food and spent the afternoon laughing and telling stories. The bikers had become like family, tough, loud, but full of heart. Years later, that same little boy grew into a young man. He rode a bike of his own now, one that Ryder helped him build. He wore a leather vest with a single patch on the back, Brotherhood Ryder. Every time he started his engine, he remembered that moment, the day a group of strangers became his heroes. And though the world kept changing, one thing stayed the same. When people saw a swarm of bikes roaring down the road in that part of the country, they didn't just see noise and leather. They saw protectors. They saw the men who stopped for a crying boy on the side of the road, and changed two lives forever. Because sometimes, heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes, they wear helmets, ride Harleys, and answer the cry of a child without a second thought. And that, more than anything, was the legacy the Iron Brotherhood left behind, a legacy of courage, compassion, and unexpected humanity found in the roar of motorcycle engines.